Hello, my dear students and the rest of the learners. Welcome to part 19 of a 22-part series of tutorials in Managed Database System using Microsoft Access. In this presentation, we are going to be looking on how to create forms in a relational database using Microsoft Access. My name is Memeji M. You can simply call me Emily Swap. A form in Microsoft Access is a database object used to present data from one or more tables or queries in a structured and easy-to-use layout. Unlike tables, which display raw data in rows and columns, forms allow customization of how information is displayed and what data entry fields are available. In Microsoft Access, forms are one of the most important objects used to interact with data. They provide a user-friendly interface for entering, editing, viewing, and navigating records in a database without having to work directly with the tables. In other words, my dear students and the rest of the learners, instead of entering data directly in tables, an occurrence or a situation that may make you even enter data in the wrong fields, it is advisable that you make use of forms to do the entry of data into the tables. Forms can also incorporate buttons, comma boxes, and other controls to make working with the data more efficient. Instead of typing directly into tables, which can be confusing and error-prone, just as I've said, forms gives a structured layout with the text boxes, drop-down lists, buttons, and subforms. The forms serve several functions in a database system. These functions include data entry. With forms, you can be able to add any new records into the tables or into the database. And therefore, forms provide users with an interface to add new records. Number two is data editing. With the forms or with the use of forms, a user can be able to make changes in existing data by allowing updating, including deletion of existing records. Number three is data navigation. With the use of forms, you can be able to scroll across your data in a database, or even you can be able to move from one record to another in a table. And therefore, forms simplify movement through records one at a time. Number four is data viewing. With the forms, you can be able to display data that is stored in your database in a very easy to understand format, which is readable and customized. Number five is automation. With the use of forms that includes buttons and controls, you can be able to automate tasks such as opening reports or running queries that you need to execute more than one time. For example, if you are tracking the way the students are making payments in your institution, the amount of data that a student may have today may not be the same amount that the same student may have tomorrow in the form of fee balance. And therefore, if you want to be checking the amount of fees that each student owes the institution in the form of balances, it can be very easy if you can be able to have a button which you just click to view the status of fees payment. And with that, you don't need to stay repeating the process of writing or developing the query. You just need to set a query for first time and then set a button in your form, which you can be clicking to view the status of fee balances in your institution. And that's what we are calling automation. The advantages of using forms in a database therefore include, number one, forms are user-friendly. With the use of forms, it is easy for anyone to use your database. And therefore, forms offer an easier method for non-technical users to be able to access the data stored in your database compared to working directly with the tables. Number two is error reduction. Through the use of tables, you can be able to set certain validation rules which of course you can even set through the queries, make use of drop downs, and even have what we call restricted inputs. By so doing, you are able to reduce the amount of errors or the number of errors that would occur if you are entering data directly through the tables. Number 3 is customization. Forms give an attractive layout, colors, and fonts that can make forms more intuitive and even user-friendly, and not just user-friendly, but also attractive, creating a good working platform of the user with the database. And that can even encourage the users to use the database for more hours without getting bored because of that interface through which they interact with. If the interface is creative, is attractive, and has colors that are good to the eyes of the user, or that create good mood to the user, then the user is able to enjoy working with the database for long without getting bored. Number 4 is security. With the use of forms, one is able to limit what data users see and interact with. Number 5 is automation. Forms streamline tasks with buttons and macros. The following are therefore some types of forms that you can create in Microsoft Access, depending on the purpose. Number 1 is single form. This is a type of form that is used to display one record at a time. It is useful for detailed data entry or editing. For example, a student registration form showing one student's details, or a student's registration form where an administrator enters details such as first name, last name, date of birth, gender, program ID, and enrollment date. Number 2 is what we call continuous form. What is a continuous form? This is a form that is used to display multiple records in a list format, like a table, but with more customization options. An example would be a form which lists all students with the admission numbers and names, or a payments form showing all students' payments in rows with the fields, which may include the following fields: the payment date, the amount paid, and the payment mode. Number 3 is what we call split form. This is a form which shows two views of the same data simultaneously, whereby a form view is able to display a single record at a time, while datasheet view is able to display multiple records from the respective tables. It is used to allow one to change from one view to another immediately as reflected in the other. In other words, changes in one view are immediately reflected in the other. For example, viewing student details while seeing the whole student list below, or a program split form where the top shows a single program's details, such as program's name, program duration, and the department, while the bottom one shows all the program records in a table or grid. Number 4 is what we call the multiple item form. This is a form which is similar to continuous forms, but with richer design capabilities. It displays several records at once in a form layout rather than a data sheet. Number 5 is a navigation form. This is a form which provides a menu-like interface for switching between different database objects, such as forms, reports, and queries. It is used for creating a dashboard-style interface for end users. An example would be a navigation dashboard with buttons such as register student, manage programs, view courses, record payments, generate reports. The 6th one is called the bundle or pop-up form. This is a form which opens as a dialog box and requires user interaction before continuing. An example is a login form for system authentication, or a situation whereby a form appears prompting the user to enter a student admission number, after which now the rest of the details are able to be displayed, or an action is able to be taken. Number 7 is subforms, or what we call forms within forms. This is used for one-to-many relationships. An example is a student form, or what we call the main form, showing student details. Then we can have enrollment subform showing courses that the student is registered in. Now, this allows administrators to view both the student information and their enrollments in one screen. The following is therefore the process of creating a form in Microsoft Access database using Wizard. Now, when it comes to creating forms, it is always good to make use of a wizard, after which you can make modifications, do editing, and even formatting as need be. And therefore, instead of designing a form from scratch, you can just create a form using a wizard, and then you can format it or customize it to fit your interests and your needs. So how do you create a database, or how do you create a form using Wizard? You can create a form using Wizard by one, opening Microsoft Access. Then number two, you open the database file. That means you open the database of your choice. For example, Emily Swap School. Once your database is open, ensure that you have created tables that have fields. Remember, whatever is displayed in the forms or through the forms is driven from the tables or is taken to the tables, and therefore it's advisable that before you start making use of forms or before you create the forms, you ensure that you have existing tables and that you have data or just fields already set in readiness to receive data, which can be entered through the forms. Then on the ribbon, you click on Create and select Form Wizard. Choose the table for which form you want to create. So if you want to create a form for the entire table, for example, for entering data into that table, then you need to select all the fields. But you can also combine fields from various tables to form a single form based on the function or the use of the form. Once you have selected your table, you then select the fields that you want to include. Number 7, choose a form layout, whether single form for individual data entry or any other option that you want to choose from. Number 8, you click on Finish, and then Microsoft Access will generate a ready-to-use form. Number 9, customize the form in Design View or Layout View to improve usability by, for example, changing background color, font sizes, adding text boxes, cover box, command buttons, among others. Once you are done, you click on Save Form, or you click on Save to save the form. And then, if you want to view now the look of your new form, you switch to Form View in order to see how the forms looks like and use it as necessary. So, my dear students and the rest of the learners, once you have understood on what the forms are, the importance of forms, and how to create the forms, then in our database, we are going to create a number of forms. Now, these forms include 1, student registration form. This form is a form which can be used to add new students and edit their details. Now, the first which we are going to include would be a student ID, first name, last name, date of birth, gender, phone, email address, and the program ID. So how do we create such a form? So we are going to create a form, our first form, called student registration form. So what we are going to do is we first launch our Microsoft Access database or Microsoft Access. That is, we click on Access 2016. Once it opens, you click on the name of your database and you open it. Remember, the procedure of opening your database entails the following: scrolling in your storage media to access your database, and then you can just directly open it. And once you open the database, it will also open Microsoft Access. Or you launch Microsoft Access the way I've done, by starting Microsoft Access program. Once it opens, you click on File, and then you search for your database, and you open it. So my database is open now. My database is MedSwap School. So what we need to do is to proceed and create a form. And remember, our form is called student registration form, and it will contain the following fields: student ID, first name, last name, date of birth, gender, phone, email, address, that is the post office box, and the program ID. So let's proceed. Here is our database. So you click on create, and then you click form wizard. So you scroll, you look through the existing buttons or icons, and then we are going to click form wizard, this one here. So you click on form wizard. Once you click on form wizard, you choose the fields or the tables from which your fields will come from. So we want to select ours from students table. So I'll click on students table. We need the following. In fact, we need all these fields. So I will select all of them. Student ID, first name, last name, date of birth. We have gender, phone, email address, and program ID. Let's confirm if they are the ones we want to use or we want to have. We have student ID, first name, last name, date of birth, gender, phone, email, address, and the program ID. So we need all of them. That's why now I have selected all of them. Then you click on next. From there, which layout would you like for your form? You have columnar, tabular. You can always click on it to see how they look like. You have data sheet, you have justified. So I can choose tabular. Then you click next. So the name is, ours is students registration form. So you type the name of your form. So ours is students registration form. Do you want to open the form to modify the form's design? So there are these two options: open the form to view or enter information. There is modify the form design. So if you want, for example, to change the color for your form or to make any other change in your form, you can click on modify the form's design. If you want to open it to see how it looks like and to enter data, you click on open the form to view or enter data. So what I'm going to do, my dear students and the rest of the learners, I will open the form to view or enter information, and then I will show you how you can modify it so that you can make some changes in it. So I'll click on open the form to view or enter information, and I click on finish. So this is our form. This is our form, as you can see. Now, if you look carefully, you can see that some of the fields are very small, like the date of birth, gender, etc. You can see how squeezed it is. So for us to be able to expand the width of our fields and be able to display all the data in each of our fields, we need to open this form in design view. So how do we go about it? You can see our form has now been listed here at the bottom here. So I'll close this form, close, and then I'll open it in design view. So I'll click design view. And then now we are going to adjust our form as necessary. So how do you make an adjustment? So I will expand this one first. You just press down your mouse button on any of the screens that you want to adjust. Then if it's an object like these two, you can hold Shift key down or Control key, then click each of the objects, then press your mouse button down to drag it to a certain location like that. And then you can point on an edge or a corner like this. Once it changes, you press down your mouse button and drag it. You can always drag it once in direction of your choice. So that is program ID. We can pick another one like address. So you click on it, you also click the other object that way, those which are going together or those which are associated, drag them to where you want the data to be. You can also expand the size a little bit so that all the text is displayed. Now, I want to adjust these ones further. So you can increase that width, then drag these ones, maybe for example, up to there. Remember, we are modifying our form. You can adjust it as you want. Then you can click on the objects as you press down the Control key. Then you click on them and you drag. There's the email. I'll also drag my email to point like that. There's the phone number. I want also to adjust the phone number, for example, that way. Then you also press your mouse button down and point on an edge that way. Once the arrow changes, you can drag it the way you want for the phone. I have gender here. You can see this is gender. Now, if you find an object is covering your data such that you are not able to select the fields as you want, you can always move it. So let me move it away from my data up to that part. Then I'll return it later. Then adjust it a little bit to accommodate gender, the name gender. Then we can drag it up to that point. We have the date of birth. You can select them and then you drag to increase the date that way. Then drag it. Then I can pick my first and last name that way. And you also drag them accordingly. Then we have student ID. So we can also resize student ID. If it's not very clear, it's always good to ensure that the name is complete, is full. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to reduce the address here. So let me click on this object and take it back that way. Then I can hold my address, reduce it a little bit. Email, I can also reduce it a little bit and move them that way. Now, this is editing, is part of your editing of your form so that it looks the way you want. Now, my main activity here, my dear students, and the rest of the learners, the actions I'm undertaking or executing, I'm simply moving, adjusting, and adjusting the widths of my fields so that the content becomes clear. So I'm simply clicking on the object that way while holding the Control key down. Then to move them, I point on them. I press my mouse button down and drag. Then I click on the objects that way. If I want to increase the width, I just point on the edge and drag it that way. So it's simply a matter of clicking the object and adjusting its length and width accordingly. Let's see, let's save this form. Let's save this form and then see how our data looks like. So save. Then you can close the form that way and then double click it or just right click on it and click open to see how our data looks like. My dear students and the rest of the learners, you can now see that all our data is visible. You can see that. We have all our records in place. So you can always adjust or make changes to your form based on how you want it to look like. By after you have created it using Wizard, you open it in Design View and make the changes as you want. So let me do some further formatting. I'll mostly do formatting for this form. Then for the others, I'll just demonstrate, or we are just going to create them without really need of formatting them as I'm doing. But follow the same example when you want to format the others. So I will close this form. Remember always to close it and then open it in Design View. So you can select an object, like I want to select the heading of my form or the title of my form and change it. And you can even change its color. So how do you go about it? So you can click on fonts like this, click on fonts, choose the font of your choice. Let me, for example, choose Franklin Gothic that way. You can even click on home and then under font, choose a color of your choice. So you can just format it the way you format others. You can also make it bold. You can even underline it. You can even fill the heading that way. So you can even fill it. If you don't want to fill, you can undo, especially if you realize that it may hide something. But remember, you can always adjust even the headers that way. You can always adjust the headings as you want. That way, I can resize it so that if I fill, for example, this placeholder with a certain color, that way it does not hide the rest of my headings. Then you can also change the font size, font type, font color, and even the font style of the headings. So I can, for example, change this color and have it in blue. That way. We can even make it in bold also. Then you can also have your text in the text boxes formatted using a certain color. So for example, I can choose my color to be black that way, and you can even increase the font size. Even the headings, the headings for the fields, you can select them while holding your Control key down, and then you can increase the font size, for example, to 12. Once you make your changes, you click on Save. You close your form, and then you can open it to see how it will look like. So you can see my form has been formatted. And you can see the color is good. You can even change the entire background if you want. So let me do some further formatting. Open it in Design View. And then, for example, I can click on this area, on this blank area, and then I can choose some fill color. For example, yellow. I can also do the same to this other space here, and I can have some other colors. For example, this one. Now let's see how that form will look like. I can click on Save, then close this, and then I open this form, and you can see how my form looks like. So this is what we call formatting or customization of a form. If there's extra space, like this space here, you can still remove it. So you can click on close, then open it again in Design View, and then you can reduce the space here. This space, you can reduce it. You can minimize the space. where possible. So what we are going to do here, I want to see the edge, if the edge is available, or the end there. If it's not there, you can just have it as it is. Once you have been able to add all our fields, we have been able to adjust them accordingly. You can now reduce this space as you want, so that the amount of space that is empty may be minimal. But you see, if you look at my form, whereas you may try to adjust this side, even if you right click it, you click on design view, you may not really be able to change the size of the form. Yes, I don't dispute the fact that you can amend that, but for now, that's not our interest. So let's remain with our form that way. Now, with this knowledge, having created this form and customized it as we want, we can be able to proceed and do some other activities. Now, I want to remove this color, the heading, the yellow color. So I'll close this, close it, then open this form again in design view. But this time around, I want to remove this color, the yellow color, for filling, so that I retain the normal color, the usual color for our form. Then I can close it and open my form that way. So this is what I'm interested with personally. Now you can see the date of birth and gender are also squeezed. So we can make some adjustment here. Also, the address field seems to be a little bit big. So let's adjust that. So then we go to address, then we can resize it up to that level. Also this one. And then I can pick my program IDs and bring it closer that way. And then I can also resize that. The date of birth and the gender are very close to each other. So let me adjust this, make this date of birth be centered. And also I can resize it a little bit that way, so that I increase the space for gender. In other ones, I can increase the width for this field. So you click on it, point on the edge, and adjust it a little. I can also adjust for the font a little that way. That way. So let me save it. We close it. And then now we open it. So you can even center our data. If you want to center, to have our data centered so that it looks nice, with that not being my last activity for customization, you can click on all the objects that way. Also click on the placeholders for our data. And then you can click home and select center as alignment of our data under headings. And headings, then click on save. Let's close this view, and then we can open now our form. You can see how our data now looks like. The data in the fields is left aligned, but the headings are centered. What about if I want to center the gender only? So I'll close that, open this form in design view. Then I can click on gender. I can click on gender, and then I click on centered. I save it. Then let's open and see. You can now see that the gender has been centered. So you can do the same for all the others. So let's close this form. Now we have one form. Let's now proceed and see how to create another form. The next form is program management form. It is used, or it will be used in our case, to manage academic programs. The fields to include program ID, program name, program fees, duration, and department. So the question is, which tables will provide these fields? Program management, program ID, program name, program fees, duration, and department. Now, these ones will come from the programs table. So let's go to our database. Let's create that other form. The form is called, don't forget, the form we are creating is program management. And most of our data will come from the programs table. So we are going to click on create, form wizard, then we choose programs table. We choose programs table and we select all these fields: program ID, program name, program fees, duration, and department. So choose all of them. Those are exactly the fields we need: program ID, program name, program fees, duration, department. Program ID, program name, program fees, duration, department. So the most important task, my dear students, and the rest of the learners, is to ask yourself, from which table or from which query would my fields come from that I want to display or access through my form? I love tabular, so I'll still choose tabular as my layout. Then the name of my form is Programs Management Form. Open the form to view. Yes. Click on Finish. So that is my table, or that's my form. That is my form. Remember, you can even enter a new record directly in the table by just clicking on a field like this one, and then you type, you enter a field. Let's also format this form. This form looks a little bit ugly, so I'll click on Save, then I'll close it. Then let's open it in Design View. We just make a slight format. So my first formatting will be changing the font size and font type here. So I like this color. I like broad. I like underlining. Let me also move it from there to the center that way. Then we can also do something on our other fields here. Let me undo that. I will click on that. Let me move it a little bit. So this is my program name. I can adjust this a little this way. Then I can take back my placeholder there. There's the program fees. So let me move this object again a little. Let me move it outside a little bit there, so that then I can adjust that field for the program fees that way. Then drag the duration that way a little bit. You can also resize it a little bit. So you can also click or select the field names or headings, make them broad, and maybe change the color, for example, to be black from gray. And then I can return my header or my form title back to where it was that way. Let me also resize these names so that they are visible. So every field is now visible. Let me also resize this one, the ID, so that it becomes visible. Good. Then whenever you make changes, click on Save. Let me close this form. Then we open it to see how it looks like. You can see, my dear students and the rest of the learners, how my form looks like. Remember, you can always format your fields and your form as you want. So that's all. So we save this form and we close our table. So let's proceed and create another one. Our next form will be course assignment form. It will be used to enter course details. Our fields will be course ID, course name, credit hours, and program ID. So these ones will come from our courses table. So we are going to go back to our database. We click on create form wizard. Then we go to courses table. Courses table, we need course ID, course name, credit hours, and the program ID. Let's see if there's another one that we need. We have course ID, course name, credit hours, program ID. Is that what we have? Let's check. Course ID, course name, credit hours, program ID. Those are 4 fields. And how many fields do we have? Or how many fields do you want to have? 1, 2, 3, 4. So those are the ones that we need for our form. So we click on next. I love tabular. If you love datasheet, you can use it. If you love justified, you can use it. But I love tabular. If you love columnar, well and good. So I love tabular. So select on tabular. Then what is the name of our form? The name of our form is course assignment. So I'll call it course assignment. Then I will open it to view. As you can see, some of the fields are very close to each other, the heading. So we can close this form, close, then open it in design view so that we just make a small change. So first of all, we can change the font color for the heading. And it's always good to be consistent. So I'll choose that and I'll even underline it and also drag it towards the center. Then remember, you can always reduce its size if you find it is hiding anything. So then we have course name. So what I'm going to do, I'll select this field, the heading, while holding the control key. And then I'll click on center alignment. I'll click on B for broad. I can even change the color to blue. Then I can resize. I can adjust the course name a little, adjust the ID so that it becomes clear. Ensure that your placeholders for text are well aligned. I can also adjust this one a little bit, drag this one. And also, now these ones, it's always good to drag them at the same time and equally, because one is the placeholder, the one is the heading, and then the other one is the placeholder for the data. And therefore, it's always good to ensure that they are well aligned. So it's always good to resize them to be of equal widths. That way. So we can save our form, close it, then let's open it and see how it looks like. Now it's a little bit better. Remember, you can make it, you can just adjust it as you want. Now, through this form for courses, you can also add more courses to your database. As you can see, this row is free and it is empty, waiting for new entry. So let's close that. And then we proceed to our fourth form. It's called enrollment form. This form is used to assign students to courses per year or per term, and the fields are enrollment ID, student ID, course ID, academic year, and term. So let's go back to our database. And remember now, we are going to create a form called enrollment. So select form wizard, and now all our fields will come from enrollment table. I'll choose all these fields because we need the enrollment ID, student ID, course ID, academic year, and the term. Remember to confirm this is what we have. Enrollment ID, student ID, course ID, academic year, and term. So that means we need all those fields. Then you click on next. I'll choose tabular, click next. What is the name of our form? It is enrollments. So the name of our form will be enrollment. So the name remains as proposed. Then open the form to view or enter information and click on finish. So that is our form. You can see the headings are okay. Enrollment ID, student ID, course ID, academic year, and the term. Now, we can do a little bit of formatting. So I'll open enrollment form in the side view. And then, first of all, I want to change this font color for the heading, make it broad, underline it, and change the font color to that one. Then I can also move it a little bit to the center, adjust it. And how do you adjust? You just point on a edge like that, or a holder. Once it changes to a double arrow, you press down the mouse button and you drag towards the direction that you want. If you want it to be expanded, you drag outwards. If you want it to reduce, you drag it once. And then if you want to move it, you just click on it. When it changes to a cross, that way you just press down your mouse button and drag to where you want, and you just release the mouse button. So I'll select these others by holding Control key down and then clicking on each of the headings. And then I can click on broad, and then you can make it underline, and you can also change the font color, for example, to blue. If they seem to be squeezed, you can always adjust. So I want to move the term here. I want to do some spacing. The term, ensure you drag your fields properly. The term can be a little bit smaller because it's 1, 2, 3. That way, academic year, you just click on each of them and you drag a little bit to separate the fields. Now for this one, you just need to resize it that way. Then let's still increase the space for our form. Let me drag these ones a little bit further that way. Also the course ID, we drag it a little bit so that now we can resize the placeholder and the field for a student ID. You can also click them, drag them a little bit, and then we can resize our program ID a little bit that way. So you can click on save, close, design view, and then you can double click to open it. You can see my headings are now good. The fields are okay. Everything is okay. The name academic year, the heading seems not to be complete. So I can close that, open it again in design view, and then increase this field a little bit for academic year so that the name is visible. Then save your design, close your table in design view, and then you can open it. And you can see now my fields are okay. Enrollment ID, student ID, course ID, academic year, and term. We can then close this form. We can proceed and create the next form. Our next form is fees and payments form. Now, this one is used to track payments and outstanding balances. Now, the flows in this form will now come from different areas. The student and fees and payments form contains the following fields: student ID, first name, last name, program name. Now, those ones are not in the same form. Student ID, first name, last name are from students table. Program name is from programs table. Total paid is from the programs table also, or fees table, and balance. Balance is from a query. Total paid is from a query. In fact, it's not from a table. So we have student ID, first name and last name from the students table. We have program name from programs table, but we have total paid and balance from queries. Total paid from total paid query, balance from balances query. So how do we create that? So we are going to open our database as usual. Then we click on create, then form wizard. And now we are going to select our fields from their respective tables and the queries. So from students table, we are going to choose student ID, student first name, and last name. That's all with that. Then we go to the total query, total fees. Fees, this one, query. Now there's normal balances. We are looking for the one which is computing total paid. So we are going to choose query total paid, and then we are going to select total paid field only. Total paid field only, and then from the query from balances. So let's see our balances query. That is fees balance here. It's called the query fees balance. That's where we are going to select the balance from. Now, you can also see that we would have selected the total paid from this query and the balance. So in fact, let's return this field back to where it was, and then we choose the total paid from here. Now, my dear students, the rest of the learners, there's also something which is very clear here. If you find out that you can be able to access all the fields from one object, like from query, that is okay. You don't need to mix them up. So what I'm going to do, in fact, I will return all these fields. Then from there, I will click on query fees balance. Now this query is complete. It has student ID, it has first name, it has last name. It has the program fees, which the student is supposed to pay. It has the total amount of the money the student has paid and the balance. So we can choose all of them, or our fields from the query fees balance, instead of choosing them from the tables. Let's see if those are the fields we need. These are the ones here. You can see we have student ID, first name, last name, program name, total paid and balance. And therefore, because we have a query that contains the total paid as calculated field and balance as calculated field, and we have student ID, first name, last name, as well as program name in the same query, then we are supposed to retrieve all these fields from the same object. And therefore, I am retrieving them from one query called query fee balance. Now, I want us to look at them. This is program name. Look here. Student ID, first name, last name. This is program name. So program name is not in the query. So what we are going to do is we don't need to have the program fees because I don't have it. But we have what? We have the program name. So the program name, we are going to get it from the programs table. At least that one we can get it from programs table. So program name. So you click on this arrow, program name. But how do you arrange them? Let me click back again. You click where you want to add it. So if I click on last name, and then I click on program name, that way you can see it will be inserted at that point. So for you to rearrange or to insert fields at a specific point in your form or in a certain order, click the field which is next to where you want to insert a new field. So we now have student ID, first name, last name, program name, total paid, and the balance. So these are the fields we need. We have student ID, first name, last name, program name, total paid, and balance. Good. We can now proceed and click on now the name. We can click on next, not finish. Click on next. I'll choose tabular. I'll click on next. What is the name of our form? The name of our form is fee and payments. Fee and payments. So I'll call it fee and payments. Fee and payments. Then I'll click on finish. So that is our form. The form indicates the student name, first name, last name, program name, total paid, and the balance. We can format this we can format this form. So we can format this form. So we close it first. Then we open it in design view, and we can now make our adjustments as possible. So first of all, I need to resize and move this header to the center. That way, select it, change it, make it broad, change its color to be uniform like the others, and underline it. Then we can resize our field. So this total fees, the balance is a little bit huge. The field size is large or huge. So we can minimize the width. The total paid is also a little bit long or large, so we can reduce it. Program name is okay. So we just need to drag it a little bit. Program, that first name and last name, that is the last name. We just need to drag it a little bit. Then we have the first name. We just need to drag it a little bit. And then we now increase the width for the student ID. You can also make the headings for our fields broader, and we can change its color. You can even increase its font size maybe to 12. Then save your form and close the design. Now let's open it and see. Good. Very well formatted. And you can still adjust the program name. You can see some names are not well displayed. So you can always scroll. That way you can always click on a field and press down an arrow key to see the full content of a field. If you wanted, we could also even have the field for fees, the total fees that the student is supposed to pay, but you can see the amount they paid and the rest. So you just need to add them. Now with that, I can close my fees table. That's the fees and payments table, or not table, but form. And with that, my dear students and the rest of the learners, we have come to the end of part 19 of the 22, in which we have learned on how to create forms in our database. You can now continue to part 20 of 22, in which we are going to learn on how to create and use a report. Congratulations for learning part 19 of 22 on creating forms in a relational database using Microsoft Access. You can access the rest of the parts in the series, as well as other computer or ICT videos, by clicking or tapping on Emily Swap ICT YouTube channel below this video. To subscribe to the channel, tap on subscribe button below this video in YouTube if it's not currently reading as subscribed. For any further correspondence, kindly write it to us through the email emilyswap@gmail.com. Thank you very much for listening to me. Let's meet in part 20 of this series, and God bless.